Hey everyone, Mark and Joey back here on a Tuesday morning after a very exciting hockey game. No basketball last night, but here we are. We're ready to talk basketball and the NBA. And mainly what we're looking at here is injuries really becoming a big part of the Warriors' issues coming in up against the Raptors. Durant not expected to be back tomorrow for sure, but maybe game 4, and still rumors that maybe never. So his situation is really a dicey one for the Warriors, Joey. And what have you heard? Anything more?
Yeah, so we got a couple free agents and injury rumors here on Durant specifically. But yeah, so the injury for Durant is this. They're expecting game 4 or game 5. But really good people have still said, I don't expect to see him at all. And it's a ploy to make Toronto think about it. People who have seen him walk and kind of go on the court are not having any faith in him coming back. But he's practiced, and, that means...
Once they do that, it's close.
Once they do that, the coach wants the option. And I think Durant's given probably Steve Kerr the option, saying, hey, coach, wouldn't be great, but I could maybe go there and shoot some threes.
The last 2 minutes of a game, and just stand there and
something like
threes.
That, right? If you need a shooter, I got you. He's 7 feet tall. No one straight up is that height. So I think you might see him in game 4 if the Raptors win. I think it all depends on the series score. I think if Raptors go up 2-1, you'll probably try to force him in game 4. And if they don't play game 4 and the Raptors go 3-1, they'll definitely force him into game 5. So it kind of depends on the series because obviously there's got to be some faith in Steph Curry and Klay Thompson that maybe you can win without hurting Durant, especially if you think he might come back to your team next year. So I just think that, we'll see, but I don't think he'll go until game 4 or 5. And I think if Golden State wins game 3, you won't see him at all, really, when it comes down to it, because they don't want to risk it. So we'll see going in, but right now, no game 3 for sure.
Right.
So that's a huge game for us, Toronto Raptors fans.
Well, and also, you mentioned Klay Thompson there, and he's injured as well.
So Klay Thompson had an MRI on his hamstring. It is a hurt hamstring. They believe, though, that it is good to go. He's questionable for game 3, which usually means he's good to go with some treatment. I do think that'll be more of a game time decision. I think he'll do shoot around, which usually happens about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the game. The second shoot around, they do one in the morning, do one for the game, and I think that's when they'll decide is that shoot around. How does his jump shot look? Can he get some air? But more importantly, people don't know this. He did a great job on defense against Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
So they don't want him out there hampering because him and Iguodala were top defenders against Kawhi when they did switches, they did pick and rolls. That's who was switching and pick and rolling. So, they got a big question marks there. Klay Thompson, though, is questionable. I think, I think they might let him rest. And I think if that's the case, Toronto should get 2-1 and they all come back in game 4, to be honest with you. But Klay Thompson is a warrior. He'll try to be out there.
Well, he might be a rest on the bench kind of guy.
He might be a bench player.
Dressed,
Coach, don't play me first half.
Yeah.
Don't even play me first 3 quarters. But if you get in the 4th, again, the one thing all these guys have is they can shoot. So at the end of the day, in the 4th quarter, if you maybe need some guys to take some shots, that might be a way to go. But Toronto's defense is very strong, and it's hard to just pull up and take shots. You're going to need some movement. So they'll have to be able to put in a little bit of a jog or a run around the court at least. And if you're going to put them out there in the 4th quarter, take some shots for you on offense, well, offensively for the Raptors, then you're going to just go after them all day long. So I think you need him at like 85, 90%, and I think Steve Kerr would put him in the game and play him. I think he'll get to that point because of how many days they get off here. They had Monday, Tuesday, then he can technically take a lot of Wednesday if he wants to and just show up again for shoot around before the game and make a decision. So he's a question mark too. I tell you what though, as Raptors fans, you don't want him to play. We can easily steal a game 3 here if all these guys are not playing. But he's a question mark regardless. I don't think if he plays, there's no way he's 100%. So you got to exploit that.
Well, we also have a little bit of that with Kawhi. I mean, there's been rumors. I don't think they've been as straightforward about injury, but certainly there's been rumors about injury.
So he has some knee issues. You can watch it when he runs, and he's played a lot of minutes this postseason. That was kind of the point of load management. But his body is a soft body. People don't. People underestimate the body because one thing LeBron James has is a body. His body has never really broken down until now. But I remember he's like 34 years old. So, but through his prime if you want to talk about LeBron James' greatest skill was kind of like
every game.
Well, it was like Tom Brady. What's Tom Brady's greatest skill? Tom Brady will tell you the greatest skill I have is I actually show up. I don't get injured. Well, LeBron James was the same way. People could talk about this and that. The fact is, he showed up. He's never injured. He played. I don't know if it's just lucky to have certain bones, like being strong or what, because obviously all these guys are really...
also being a very smart player, and that's the real part of it. That's
it takes a lot of time off.
That's like Brady's real magic, is he's very smart, gets rid of the ball quickly. When you look at LeBron, he helps because he's just a magnificent specimen of a body. So,
oh my God.
But, he can stay out of the way of a lot of other trouble.
Here's what I've noticed. Guys who try
injuries
on defense get injured more.
Yeah.
Guys trying defense get injured more. I'm not saying LeBron played bad defense, but I don't think that was his specialty, especially his offense. You look at Kawhi, look at Klay Thompson. They do have magnificent offensive talents, but they are really good defensive. Both all-NBA defensive teams, Kawhi and Klay. So, in my mind, what you're noticing here is if you're a juggernaut on defense, that's where your injury is going to come because you're taking charges, you're taking stuff in the chest, you're backpedaling too. You're not going forward. People don't understand that backpedaling is way different. So Kawhi Leonard does have something with his knee. I think they call it tendonitis, maybe.
Yeah.
That's not too severe, I don't think. It's like kind of an in and out thing.
Yeah.
I think depending on how he feels, either kicks in or doesn't kick in. He looked way better in Game 2, by the way.
Game 1, he looked horrible.
Yeah.
He looked injured in Game 1.
Game 2, by the way, looked way better.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot of time here, too. He should be fine for Game 3. He's toughing it out, and I think he's only going to get better, actually, as the series go on, because days off, but also, actually, what Jalen Rose said, he goes, there's difference. You want to play hurt. You don't want the hurtness to turn into an injury.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's what all that time off between the conference finals and the NBA finals might have did for him. So I think he's back into a rhythm, back into a routine. He's practicing every day. He's playing games. I think he'll be fine for Game 3. And for the Raptors, I don't think they have many other injuries, but there is one more injury on Golden State, and that is Looney. Don't know his first name. Looney, number 5 on Golden State, is out. He's done. He's out for he fractured, I think, his collarbone or something, and he's out. He's gone. So he was a big man down low. You didn't see him much in Game 2, but Game 1 you saw him a lot. The Portland series you saw him a lot. Well, he's out. So the depth for Golden State continues to dwindle away. And when can Toronto step on their throats and take advantage of this? It has to be Game 3 and Game 4 because you never know when these guys come back. So Looney's out. Klay Thompson's questionable. Durant's out for Game 3. Iguodala's still not even probably close. I'd say he's 85, maybe 80%. Hits a big shot.
So what you're saying is Curry's going to need to score 60 points. To
hey, man. Or DeMarcus Cousins and Bogut. DeMarcus Cousins and Bogut had great games in Game 2 there. And, you got to watch those guys. If DeMarcus Cousins... But guess what? He's had injuries like every year for his career. How long does his body hold up? He went from 6 minutes to 28 minutes. And with all these injuries, he might go to 30-plus minutes. What I'm trying to say is Toronto Raptors. Get it done, man.
Yeah.
And first of all...
The other good thing about injuries is 10 years from now, no one will say, oh, well, Warriors were hurt. You either win the championship or you don't.
No one... Even
so don't use the excuse. Hey, get out there and win.
When you win...
Just win.
The next day, no one cares. Even that night, no one cares besides the haters.
Yeah.
And really, but the fans won't care. I won't care. Guess what? When Golden State won their first championship, LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving, not one of them played every game of the NBA Finals. In fact, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love didn't play a single game of that NBA Finals, and LeBron was partially hurt. So, you go back in history, someone was mentioning the Detroit Pistons when they got their first title. Magic Johnson played, they said 50 minutes the whole series.
Yeah.
I don't know who else was on the
Part
team.
of winning is staying healthy.
Byron Scott didn't play at all. He goes, it's a skill set to be healthy, but it's a skill set to have depth. If you look at the Toronto Raptors, the one thing you give them credit for is they built depth around a superstar, is what they've done. They have a superstar, they have 2 other all-stars, and then they build depth around it with young players and specialty skill-type players. And that's what you're supposed to do, and that's what Toronto's done. Toronto, this is your chance. Game 3, I think, is the game. Gets you up 2-1. I think guys come back for Game 4 and will be healthy again. Although, big turning point here is what? They only go 1 day off. They're going Wednesday, Friday, which is different than when they were in Toronto. So I say, though, you get Game 3. Game 4 is another strong possibility, but worst case, you go home 2-2. And then you might have to deal with the juggernaut of Golden State with all their players coming back. But, hey, this is your chance.
Yeah, get the lead when you can.
Get the lead. This is your chance. Steph Curry will touch the ball every offensive possession. It will run through him. He'll either be shooting it or he'll be passing it to guys that you should be able to guard or at least take your chances on their percentages. You never know who might have a good game. Dalvin Cook might have a good game, or Davin Cook or something like that. Number 4, he hit 3 threes in a row. Does he do that again? Golden State's going to need it. But you are willing to risk those guys shooting the ball. You cannot let Curry, Cousins, and Draymond Green get the ball when you know they have nobody else. You got to beat them up, be physical, and try to make their game go to someone else because they're going to touch the ball guaranteed every offensive possession.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I do want to talk about a couple rumors that will make both cities happy. Well, first of all, I was impressed with Kevin Durant. And I'm not impressed with, obviously you're impressed with his skill, but as a teammate on the Warriors, he hasn't been. But the interesting part was after the game 2, he was standing outside the dressing room or right at the hallway, high-fiving every player. That's not the sign of a guy who's leaving the team in 3 games, and you've heard even a further rumor.
Well, so here we go. First of all, he did it game 1, 2, even when they lost, and he did a game, game 1 when they lost, and he did a game 2, and even tripped Drake a little bit, but Nike's released some apparel. With every city he's played for throughout his whole career from, apparently when he was, in high school, whatever, and the last city there says San Francisco, and now what you're thinking is, well, you play in Golden State. Isn't that close to San Francisco or is San Francisco?
It's
well,
right
their
there.
stadium's actually moving to San Francisco. So what people are believing is that he had Oakland as a second last, and then he had San Francisco as the last. They think that's a hint at the fact that the new arena being San Francisco, he will come back. Now, here's another reason why he will come back, and this is from Chris Broussard on The Herd. He goes, if I'm Kevin Durant, this is what I'm doing. I stay one more year with Golden State. It could either be your 4th in a row, which would be the first ever, I think they said. First ever a team to win 4 in a row. Or 3 out of 4. And guess what? If you come back and win it with you there, all of a sudden it's because of you weren't here.
We have to assume they're going to lose this year because we need the Raptors.
Right. So anyways, many storylines. So 1 is it could be 4 in a row. 2, it could be the fact that you get to prove that, hey, they couldn't win with me. I come back to make sure we win. The third reason is this free agency this summer will be absolutely insane. There's so many big stars with massive decisions. What Chris Broussard said it made sense was maybe you go back to Golden State for a year. You wait and see where all these stars end up. Instead of trying to call them, trust that they're going to go through on their plans.
Their plans.
Right? Sorry, I was looking for that word. And just wait. Just wait. Go play a simple year in San Francisco for Golden State Warriors, go to another title, get the win, maybe don't get the win, depending on who you play, and guess what? Just have an easy-going year. Then take a step back and go, okay, this guy didn't do what he did. This guy did do what he did. He's in LA. He's here. Now make your decision. I think he's returning. I think it's going to be for 1 year. It's on that shirt, San Francisco. That's where the new arena is. So it's a little bit of a tip there. I think they accidentally spoiled it for everybody without even knowing it. He has a house there, so I think it's very, very possible that he stays for 1 more year in Golden State. He has bought a house in New York. That tells me he's waiting to see what Kyrie Irving does, because that's who's supposed to go with him. And so he's going to play 1 more year in Golden State, make sure Kyrie goes to New York, probably join him the next year after that. He'll only be in his 30s.
I still don't get these guys. I mean, you're playing on the world champions. You're playing on a team that's going to be there for a long, long time. What is the move? Why do you want to do this?
Here's the move. There's something
ridiculous.
He has a beef with the fact he's not considered one of the greats because he went to Golden State. And arguably, a lot of people say that's true because he's on Oklahoma City Thunder with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. They traded James Harden because they couldn't get along, and then it was him and Westbrook, and they only lost in 7 games to Golden State the year before, and then he goes to Golden State. So there's this thing about, I'm not the greatest, I should be with the greatest, blah, blah, blah. That's why Chris Broussard is saying there's 2 reasons. One, if you win 4 titles in a row, no one's ever done that. So if you want to put yourself over a lot of guys, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is if Golden State loses this series, which a lot of people believe they will lose to Toronto, you come back next year. The odds are if Kawhi stays to Toronto, you can play Toronto again, beat Toronto, and then you get to prove that as well. And then you get to go to New York and be the man in New York. It's all ego.
Yeah, can he be ego all you want? Michael Jordan stayed in the same place, and he's considered the greatest player to ever play the game.
He was considered the greatest player on that team.
But he had a lot of great supporting characters around.
Right, but they didn't win. They didn't win. Well, that's a good point, because they didn't win until they got Scottie Pippen, someone said, and Dennis Rodman.
Right, but my point is, Jordan stayed where he was. He won a number of championships. It made him great, but he had a ton of great players around him. Durant is going to make the fatal mistake that a lot of these guys do, is go to a place that isn't winning, think they can make the win, then not win, and then ruin what has been a great reputation.
No, that's why Chris Broussard said he'll sign in Golden State thinks for one more year.
I get that, but I don't even know why there's a consideration. In my mind, stay the hell where you are. There isn't a sportscaster in the world that doesn't tell you that Kevin Durant's the greatest player in basketball. What more does he want?
True.
Even this, as they're heading into the series in the playoffs, oh my God, Kevin Durant, if he's out, they can't win, they can't do this. They already consider him number one player. What's he looking for? You know, these players, as far as I'm concerned, if he moves, I hope he crashes, honestly. He's got a great position on a great team. They make so much money. It can't be about the money. He's considered the greatest player right now by every sportscaster in the business. I watch every show. It's all about Kevin Durant, even though he's not playing. Like, even with the Warriors playoffs, since he went out, it's all about him coming back and all about this and all about that. What more does he want? He's not going to get that anywhere else. So I don't know what he's looking for. I think he should stay.
Well,
I think he might stay.
Here's what he's looking for, whether you agree with it or not, and I don't agree with it. What he's looking for is this. One, the New York Knicks have been bad for so long. If he could ever bring them to anywhere close to a championship, it would be like what Kawhi did for Toronto. Let's be honest here. They have a long history, but they've been bad for so long. Yeah, but you know what?
Toronto was good. Kawhi came into a perfect situation.
No, but that's why if you take a year off...
I know, but just quiet for a second. You can't compare the Knicks to the Raptors and Kawhi and Durant. I think he's an idiot to go to New York and not win. And there's a very big possibility he won't change that. There's a very big possibility he won't change that, and he'll look bad, and his career will be stained.
If he waited back, so they got the 3rd overall pick. If they get R.J. Barrett, who they expect to draft, trade him for Zion Williams, something like that. There's a bunch of stuff that can go in there. They get Kyrie Irving, then he goes. So you have Kyrie Irving, Durant, and whatever pick they get this year. You don't think that team's good enough to make a run at it?
I don't know. Irving going to Boston was going to make them a world champion. That's what I heard at the time. He went there.
I agree.
And they had all this. They had all this talent, and what happened? They didn't get through the second round. So don't tell me that just going there and talent. It's still a team sport. We might say, we've said it before, that this is a sport that can be dominated by one player. But that was LeBron James. I don't think Kevin Durant is anywhere close to LeBron James in his prime, when he could lead teams all by himself, when he went back to Cleveland and made that happen. I think it's a foolish move on Durant's part. I think he's smart to stay with the Warriors. I think he will stay because eventually someone's going to get to him and say, you're an idiot to make this move. You could be one of the great players of all time to have been on 3, 4, 5 world championships, just like Jordan. Why would you risk it? I have no idea why you get up and do that, other than your ego is so big that you want to go and transform a team like LeBron did, and that's the only reason.
I have no doubt that's part of it. I know part of it's to be in New York because he believes he can get more money from Nike to be in New York. Another part of it is...
probably not good enough to be making $150 million a year, of course.
But he can't even get...
You got to make more.
He can't get the max contracts on Golden State either. That's another reason why he wants to leave, because Golden State gave one to Steph. They probably want to give one to Clay or Draymond, and they don't want to give one to Kevin Durant because he's not the beginning of this dynasty. So he wants to go and create his own dynasty. I'm all for it. Honestly, if that's your thing, I think it's stupid. But if that's your thing, then that's your thing. I think people will always put an asterisk beside his name when they count championships because he came to not just a team. You're talking about Jordan. Well, Jordan built Chicago, then guys came and joined him. It's like Steph Curry. I wouldn't put an asterisk against Steph Curry's name for when he changes with Durant because Steph Curry built that.
Of course.
And he built a 73-win team, and he built a championship team, and went back to another championship team if it wasn't for a stupid 3-1 lead, which was destiny against LeBron James for whatever reason.
LeBron had to win one.
Gods, he had to win one for Cleveland. He would have had 2, this would have been 5 in a row. I think Michael Jordan's more Steph Curry. I think if someone joined Jordan, that's the Durant situation here, is that he was almost beating Golden State. He had him in 7 games, and he gave all that up just to go win simple championships, is why people will always put an asterisk by his name. What he wants to do by going to New York is get rid of that asterisk. He wants to make a team that had no business being any good because, like you said, they are a horrible franchise. Their team is horrible. They'll probably botch the draft and draft someone stupid or make some stupid trade. And they'll probably... Kyrie Irving, I don't think is that good. He's a horrible teammate. I think he's a good individual, but so is Durant. He's an individual. He's not a teammate. That's why I think Steph Curry will actually be better off when Durant leaves. But that's why he wants to do it. Because there's always an asterisk against his name. It's not against Steph. It's not against Clay because they did it without him. But because he went to such an easy team... Everyone knew it was such an easy win. That's why they'll always do it. So he wants to just build a name for himself outside of Steph and Clay. And let's be honest, he doesn't look right in Golden State. Even 2 years in, you can agree with me on this. He does not look like he's a part of Golden State, unlike Clay and Steph.
I don't know. I still...
And Draymond.
You can always look at it, too.
And you got to pay these guys.
This still. I watch the sports shows. They talk nothing but Durant on that team. They don't
I'm talking
even
about
talk
the city,
the
though.
others.
I'm talking about the city. The city is Curry City.
Here's what you need to do. You need to win world championships to be considered the greatest player to ever play the game. LeBron even suffers from it up against Michael Jordan because he's gone the most times. He's lost the most times. What do people talk about? The number of championships Jordan has. They don't talk about.
They actually talk about how many won in
individual
how many visits,
one,
right? 6 for 6.
But they don't talk about each individual. Oh, did he have a better team than these guys? Did he have? No, he won 6. That's the destiny. That's his legacy. Sorry, that he will always have. And LeBron will have the legacy of being there the most time and losing the most times. And that's why Jordan always comes up as the better player in those discussions. Durant has an opportunity to win 4, 5, maybe 6. Who knows what'll ever stop this team when they have that kind of talent on the floor. So anyway,
here's a theory.
We're going to go back and forth. The guy has
Toronto.
a massive ego. I don't want to ever see him in Toronto. This guy is a trouble in the room, the city,
Kawhi
everywhere.
left.
Well, no, I just don't like the guy. But
so
anyway,
actually, here's our
that's
second
where I'd
rumor
go.
is Kawhi Leonard. We should get in the next.
He's actually bigger than
that
us.
matters more to us
Yeah.
than Kevin Durant. Because guess what? Golden State's gonna be just fine with or without Durant.
Yeah.
Whatever team he goes to will be good enough to make the playoffs and do what he wants. But the Kawhi Leonard Toronto thing, we've talked about this many times because we said if he does not sign and you do not win the championship, which was the ultimate goal here, trading away a guy who was willing to stay for the rest of his career, was a championship or at least getting him to resign. Here is the news. It has been reported by multiple sources that he will go 1-1. What that means is 1 year guaranteed, 1 year option. So you can agree to the option, agree to a contract extension, which is a new contract, or leave and opt out and go somewhere else. What does that do? Well, it does a couple things. One is Lowry's a 2-year player right now. Gasol's a 2-year player right now. Ibaka's a 2-year player right now. They all are up in age. I think he wants to he sees how good this team can be. He wants to give it 2 more years because you basically have the exact same team. No one should leave. And then he'll see how good are the young players. Do they go get me new players? Or maybe he's just going to go, I'll give him 2 more years with this team. After these 2 years, the old guys are gone, and I'll just go to California. I'll give Toronto their due for what they've done for me. They brought me in, give them 3 runs at a realistic chance of honestly winning a title, and then you'll leave and go to California. I believe that's what he'll do. I don't believe he'll sign an extension after this short-term deal.
And there's another piece.
About it. He bought a house here.
Yeah.
Once he bought it, he's been renting all year long. He has bought a house here.
Real estate agents are the greatest source of rumors.
He bought a house. Why would you buy a house if you're leaving?
They work with those. They work with everybody, not just not at that level. Even at your own personal level, you'll hear rumors about any kind of sports athlete in town, what they're doing. The rumor mill through real estate agents is fantastic, and that's what's happening with Kawhi as well.
Yeah, so he's bought a house here. You wouldn't buy a house unless you're staying. And I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, there's many reasons why he'll go to stay. I think the brotherhood of him, Lowry, Ibaka, Danny Green coming in that trade was huge that no one talks about. So the city, man, if he does resign, the city should send a parade for themselves because it's your fandomness.
That's really made him want to stay.
That's made him want to stay. It's the fact that he sees all these people outside that when we won the Eastern Conference Championship, the chance for him MVP, he really, I feel like for the first time in his career, senses he's accomplished what a Jordan has in his career because of this city. And this city should stand up for themselves.
And what's been happening in the last 2-3 games in the media? He's all of a sudden talking about this guy. Yeah, he's like, in the beginning was like, yeah, he'd answer questions, blah, blah, blah. Now it faces up. He's got a smile on his face. He's making comments.
Well,
he's
even the other night, they go,
he's even talking like you can understand him. Even.
They go, did you want the ball in Iggy's hands at the end of the game? He goes, actually, I wanted it in our hands so we could score.
Yeah.
He's opened up. He's had this dry sense of humor. The guys have been telling everybody in the media he's a regular guy. He's a fun guy. He wore that shirt that said fun guy. I think Toronto's allowed him to open up because guess what? Our media, if you're not playing hockey, which is a different story, a different story, we just love you. So, I think he's opened up. He's liking Toronto. The fans, the media should all take a bow or give themselves a pat on the back. I think it's all contributed to that. I think Kyle Lowry overcoming what he had with DeMar DeRozan to be Leonard's friend. And apparently, according to Leonard, he's really showed him outside the arena life, which is very important. People don't that matters. And obviously, Danny Green, too, who's embraced the city, who's one of his best friends from San Antonio, stuck up for him in San Antonio when the whole thing went on there. We brought him in. So, I just think he's going to stay. I think he'll do the short-term deal. And I think you won't get much more after that short-term deal. But that'll give us 3 runs at a championship, including this one, which we have a legit chance to win with a banged-up Warriors team, we're overall pretty healthy. Besides Kawhi, we're going to need help, though, from the other players, and you cannot start the third quarter on an 18-0 run for the other team. That was record-breaking in the NBA Finals.
Well, that's it. No gaming yet. The NBA still the most fun to talk about. Stuff happening with
Someone
the team.
Said it's the Kardashians of sport.
Yeah, it truly is.
And the Lakers are the Kardashians of the NBA. It's just drama-filled all the time.
So, we're staying focused on the two teams that are left, but obviously there's lots of things to talk about. Even when the NBA championship's over, it'll be nonstop. So we're looking forward.
2 weeks later, after you win the title, you could be losing your best player.
Yeah. Well, the free agency does that in every sport, but certainly in basketball, there's a lot more rumors about it. But anyway, we'll be back tomorrow to talk about any updates. Certainly the injury update with the Warriors is going to be big in this series, and we'll look forward to coming to you.